So this past week, the Constitutional Court left many South Africans stunned as it ordered the Department of Correctional Services to grant parole to the killer of Chris Hani. Janusz Walus killed Hani in 1993 and was initially sentenced to death before the new constitution commuted the sentence to life behind bars. The fallout of the court's decision has been immense. Nic Andersen takes a look at what could possibly happen next.
Chief Justice Zondo has failed this country completely. And I'm not going to apologize. Zondo never referred to my family, to myself, to my children, and the trauma and the suffering. This judgment is diabolical. Totally diabolical. I've never seen anything like this.
The Constitutional Court's decision has left the Hani family and many South Africans fuming. After spending 28 years behind bars, Janusz Walus will now likely find himself free from the walls of a prison cell. Walus became eligible for parole in 2005, but the Department of Correctional Services and Minister of Justice kept denying his requests. It's not just the family and political parties unhappy with the ConCourt's order. President Cyril Ramaphosa also expressed his frustration while on his trip to the United Kingdom this week.
With regard to the judgment on Walus, it is disappointing, I must say, very, very disappointing, because Chris Hani was an iconic figure in our struggle. And in fact, if you look at it more carefully, it was our democracy in the end, as we even attained an election date, was pivoted on the tragedy that our country went through when Chris Hani was killed. So you could say that Chris Hani's death was part of what spawned the democracy.
So the real question is what happens to Walus when and if he is released on parole, as per the Constitutional Court's order. Walus has had his South African citizenship revoked by Home Affairs in 2017, and according to his attorney, the state has already hinted at granting temporary residence in order for strict parole conditions to be enforced. But there is another option too: deportation back to Poland.
The Department of Home Affairs basically said that in the event that parole would be granted, they would make the necessary arrangements for the extension of his temporary residence for the purpose of serving his parole. But I think that government might wish to revisit that. I think it would probably be far simpler to deport him.
The problem many South Africans have with the idea of deportation is the fact that due to a lack of jurisdiction in Poland, sending Walus back to his home country would mean he would serve no parole, but instead be a free man. Whichever decision is eventually made, the backlash and anger over Walus's release is not expected to fade away anytime soon. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Nic Andersen in Johannesburg.